Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session on observability strategy, a must-have in microservices world. A bit about myself. I have had a very interesting journey so far. I have had different roles, right from software developer to technical marketing engineering at the big companies such as Intel and IBM, as well as small startups. My hobbies include traveling, playing soccer, exploring restaurants, and playing video games. Although it's just restricted to playing video games for now, I'm really looking forward to resuming traveling as soon as the COVID situation is over. So let's get started with the session today. First, we'll look at how microservices have become the new normal and what challenges, specifically in observability, have those brought about. Then we'll look at the must-haves in an observability solution. And finally, we'll look at how to build a sustainable observability strategy for your team, your company. So let's start with a bit of context on microservices. So hand in hand with the evolution of software, the architecture has also evolved a lot. We have moved from monolithic-based architecture to a microservices-based architecture. Applications have now started to be being built on the cloud instead of being built on data centers. A microservices architecture can be thought of as an architecture consisting of mini apps which run independent of each other. So there is no one monolithic bundle of code. Microservices architecture has great benefits, no doubt about that, but there are also a few challenges that come across. Let's look at some of the benefits of a microservices architecture. So generally, organizations adopt microservices because of top 3 reasons, which are scalability, speed of development, and decreased system administration time. Scaling microservices is extremely easy and can be done in seconds. It definitely increases your speed of development and allows more efficient utilization of resources. But as Vogels once said, everything fails all the time, which is completely true. That kind of brings me to the problems that many face while adopting microservices-based environments. And it is with respect to observability. As we saw, modern applications have now thousands of services with databases, caches, and more. Visibility into those is increasingly complex. Using only traditional monitoring solutions, it can be nearly impossible to know what is going on under the hood. So let us see how we can troubleshoot distributed applications. We should start with understanding what observability and monitoring exactly are. Monitoring tells you if a system is working. Observability lets you ask, why is it not working? Observability involves instrumenting systems and applications to collect the relevant data. Observability and monitoring are complementary to each other. Observability is not just a tool, it's a must-have culture for any organization, and it is important for all, right from developers to the C-suite. Most of you must be familiar with the 3 pillars of observability. They are metrics, logs, and traces. We'll discuss tracing later in the session. Let's start with metrics. Metrics are a great way for ops to figure out if something has gone wrong. Examples of metrics include CPU usage or even memory usage. You can also track business-level metrics such as bounce rate, revenue, and click-through rate. Logs, on the other hand, can tell us why something went wrong. But when you're running hundreds or thousands of microservices, these alone are not enough. Let's see why they are not enough. So for this session, we'll consider an example of a virtual shop. As you can see, the HTTP server authenticates requests using Auth0 and pushes them to a Kafka stream. A Java container pulls the stream and updates the DynamoDB table. Let's say there is a situation where the users complain about orders that were sent but not handled. Where would you start? Maybe APM tools. However, traditional APM tools come with a lot of challenges, especially for microservices-based world. The first challenge being agents, which are multiple and heavy to deploy. So they consume a lot of your resources as well as developer time. The second one is they're not able to pinpoint the exact problem related to your microservices-based architecture. Again, related to the same bullet, alerts are sent out without any context. So it becomes really hard to know what is going on. And finally, most observability solutions don't tell you the impact of performance-wise each microservice has on architecture. All this leads to lower business and developer velocity. So using the traditional way, you'll first look at Kafka metrics. You see that everything here is kind of normal. Then you look at DynamoDB metrics and you see a few spikes here. That's interesting. So you need more data to debug. And to troubleshoot effectively, we need logs. But are logs really sufficient? We all know what logs look like. Personally, I have a love-hate relationship with log. I love the fact that they are available when I want them, but I hate digging through them. Often I found myself scrolling through dozens or even hundreds of lines of logs just to spot that outlier. What if I knew the exact path a request is taking through individual services and components? Logs are good to debug monoliths, but they don't really work as a starting point in a highly distributed environment. So in our virtual shop example, if you're very lucky, you will be able to spot the problem, but it might take a long time. So let's recap of what are the things that are missing here. It essentially boils down to correlation between metrics and logs and between different services. The correlation will help us find the exact problem. So how do we correlate these pieces? That's where distributed tracing comes into picture. I'm sure most of you must have heard about tracing lately. Many vendors offer some form of distributed tracing. Even service meshes are now building support for it. There are also dozens of open source solutions out there. However, where did it all begin? Distributed tracing was born out of Google over a decade ago, and it allowed engineers to trace the specific path a request makes through services. In effect, it helps shine the light on that needle in the haystack that logging or metrics can miss. Just because your application consists of 15 or 20,000 services doesn't mean that a request will travel through each one of them. At best, it will travel through a fraction of those services. So back to our previous example of the virtual shop, using a distributed tracing-based solution, you can immediately see with the focused view that the key ID is missing. Which key ID though? Looking at the details of the Kafka stream, you see that the username is missing. And finally, when you focus on Auth0 microservice, why is it missing exactly? It is because of an expired token. So specifically for Auth0, you now know that you should be using refresh tokens because the access token has expired. So in short, this reduces your mean time to detection and resolution by quite a lot as compared to the traditional monitoring solution. Let's look at some of the observability solutions out there. There are some open source solutions which you can use. With distributed tracing, you have Jaeger and Zipkin. Recently, OpenTelemetry framework has tried to tie these pieces all together. These are the frameworks that are to be followed and utilized. I love the work that the open source community is doing with these frameworks. Although they are immensely helpful in pinpointing issues in highly distributed environments, they do come with a lot of significant development effort. They do require a lot of instrumentation as well as maintaining. Let's see how one can instrument using OpenTelemetry. So in a distributed tracing solution, you would want to instrument every API call within your code to create a building block of trace called span. A span represents work done by a single service, time intervals, and associated metadata. You should collect and include in all your spans all the relevant information, including payloads in many cases. By injecting and extracting identifiers from spans and API calls, you can correlate spans from remote services as well. So based on what we have discussed and the feedback that we got from our customers as well as industry experts, we at Epsigon decided to design our product around the best practices for observability. Some of them are mentioned here. So the first one is essentially having an automated setup and increasing developer velocity by having a lightweight agent which can be easily instrumented. The second one is the agent should support multiple environments such as Kubernetes, containers, and serverless. You should also be able to provide rich context across metrics, events, logs, and traces, and allow you to search full payloads or custom tags. And observability should not only tell you that something has gone wrong, but pinpoint to why and where exactly it has gone wrong, which will help you reduce your mean time to detection. Observability should be top of mind for every organization by now, but it shouldn't come at the expense of developer or business velocity. So let's look at some of the benefits of a distributed tracing-based solution. One of the most important benefits of a distributed-based solution is visualization. Users should expect actionable items within these complex service maps and visualizations. As we zoom in on or filter in on specific components, you should be able to see the latency between two services or even areas where thresholds have been crossed. So metrics should also be provided in these service maps so that some context is provided to issues and alerts that are going out. Another great benefit is the one that we saw in our previous example. So a distributed tracing-based solution can help you focus down on a specific group of microservices. This essentially takes out the guesswork in determining which microservice caused the error or which microservice has had an impact. Without smart filtering capabilities, an architecture map becomes nothing more than an exercise in chaos theory. One of the things that I love about distributed tracing-based solution is the ability to see where the code has spent time. So with this, you can actually know if a significant portion of a time is being spent on an external API call to respond, or do we need an inefficient database call to be refactored. At Epsagon, our waterfall visualization can provide you with rich context of header metadata to help troubleshoot applications in real time. At a business level, you need to look at not only the traffic of our application holistically, which of course is important, but also traffic of each service and component. In this example, we have a payment service that handles all of our processing, and the traffic there drops down to 0. That's a huge problem. We also need to have the flexibility to slice and dice the data in a number of ways. A couple of examples are shown on the slide. We may also want to look at traffic at an application level, at a resource level, or even at a service level. It's going to be the same story with errors. An error that is critical in service A can be ignored in service B. So again, when it comes to understanding the error state of an application, you need to be able to look at the application from n number of viewpoints. Maybe it's breaking it down by error code. For example, a user being rate limited is important information, but it is not as critical as seeing a huge number of files. Further, we may want to be able to look at errors not only based out of error codes, but also exception types. So there are a number of ways you might want to visualize, track, and understand errors throughout your system, and it is the job of a good observability solution to allow you to do just that. So let's see how one can plan your observability strategy. First of all, you need to have a clarity on your business goals and architecture model. And then you have to determine your approach, whether it's DIY or managed. Integrating observability into your architecture at the very beginning is super critical because observability and your architecture will be tied together for the long time. If you go with a DIY solution, it has its own benefits. If you go with a managed solution, it has its own benefits. So choose properly. And then implement the observability solution. Finally, the last but not the least, you should ensure the scalability of your observability strategy. This is because microservices, as we know, scale really fast. And if an observability solution can't scale with the microservices, then it is of no use. So let's summarize what we have seen in the session. We saw that distributed microservices-based architectures come with their unique benefits and challenges. Observability through metrics like throughput or simply seeing the response time aren't enough to determine if the issue, where the issue is, and don't provide us with the context. Distributed tracing with context helps tell a story of when, where, and why a user has encountered an error. Finally, observability lets us get visibility into our architecture, reduce mean time to detection and resolution, and also reduce a bunch of costs. I would like to end this session just by saying that observability should be a critical priority for your organization by now, and it shouldn't come at the expense of business or developer velocity. A great observability solution helps shift our mindset from being reactive to being proactive. And thank you for attending the session. For the swag giveaway, please visit the link mentioned here. And please let me know if you have any questions. Okay, so we have one question here. Can a real-time distributed tracing quantify for pre-cluster stages, indicating possible gaps through cluster and cluster? Yeah, definitely. I have seen a distributed tracing-based solution used in production as well as pre-production environments, and it really helps to spot. So even in the case of chaos engineering, where you're trying to experiment around, a good observability solution will help you reduce your chaos engineering efforts. So definitely, you should have a good observability solution tied to pre-production and pre-cluster stages. How does observability work for event-driven architectures where there is few request response type of messages? So a good observability solution can essentially give you context to events, and it's just not restricted to metrics and logs. So even if when you include payload information in your traces, an event-driven architecture can help you give context to where the event is coming from and what are the metrics associated with it and what are the logs associated with it. So a good observability solution should definitely be integrated in an event-driven architecture. So there is another question which asks, does it replace traditional APM systems? I would say that traditional APM systems have their own unique benefits. So some of the traditional APM systems are good at monitoring infrastructure, or if you have monoliths running, so they are good at monitoring monoliths as well. So a distributed tracing-based observability solution would be helpful when you have a specific use case, whereas a traditional APM solution would help you when you have traditional use cases such as monitoring infrastructure or monoliths. Okay, great. I think those are all the questions we have. Thanks for joining in. Bye.